Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another Firefall video, and as you guys might be aware, I actually went to Gamescom last week and I had a chance to actually interview with the team behind Firefall. And while this particular video is not that interview yet because I'm still working on it and making it look and sound, actually sound is the key word here, sound a little bit better than it actually does, because obviously my microphone is not the best, but still I'm working on getting that done. But in the meantime, I thought I would give you guys a little video preview of what I talked about with his card says lead class designer, but the description in the press kit says that he's the senior designer. So I don't know. I don't get too hung up on titles anyways. But I wanted to talk to you guys about the conversation that I had with, his name is David Williams, with Mr. David Williams about Firefall, because, I kind of had a conversation with him before we actually did the interview, where he presented me with their future plans for Firefall, as well as the actual background story for Firefall, because it was actually really interesting, because when he asked me, so I don't need to tell you about the history of Firefall, do I? And I'm like, actually, you do, because I'm really curious. I haven't really paid that much attention to it in game, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that a lot of players really haven't paid that much attention to the story of Firefall, due to the simple fact that a lot of people that I would invite to come and play Firefall, a lot of them would still tell me, what the hell is that purple thing that's limiting the world? And I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, I talked with him a little bit about the story of Firefall, and I'm just going to give you guys a quick little sum up. Apparently this is written somewhere in the Firefall wiki, and to be honest, I didn't really look for it. And I'm going to go ahead and say that probably a lot of people haven't really looked this information up, since I've only heard the words Alpha Prime mentioned every so often in the community, and it hasn't been as often as I would have expected, considering now that I kind of know a little bit of the story behind it. And bear in mind, don't get too hung up on details, okay, guys? Because I've seen like 100 different things at Gamescom, and I can't be expected to memorize every single thing. But having said that, let's get started. So the story, the way that he told me, was the Firefall event itself actually took place before the Arclight crashed on Earth. So Earth was evolving, and as per usual, we were evolving into a futuristic civilization and whatnot. And eventually, meteors came down from the sky and struck the Earth, and those meteors had crystite on them. So the humans basically took advantage of that particular resource, crystite, and they figured out that they could actually develop clean energy from this crystal. And after figuring all that stuff out, basically the human society kind of evolved as a whole, and pretty much used crystite for everything, which is why crystite is the form of currency in game. So that is kind of how crystite actually came to be. This was actually a long time before the Arclight was even built. And anyways, obviously humans became kind of dependent upon crystite as a material, and therefore they needed to figure out where the crystite came from. So we kind of did the whole scientific navigation thing and figured out where the meteorites came from by, studying trajectories and all that jazz, stuff that I'm really not that good at. And by studying those trajectories, they were able to figure out which planet the crystite came from, and that is what is called Alpha Prime, or at least so I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure on that particular aspect of it. Either way, obviously, since we needed crystite to keep on evolving as a society and building new things and having energy and all that stuff, we started sending out ships to go to Alpha Prime and get crystite. I'm not 100% sure if those ships ever made it back, or if they made it back but it wasn't fast enough. I think the main complaint was that we weren't getting the material from the planet fast enough. So that is why the Arclight was built, We actually built a ship that was able to arc fold time and space and whatever, basically, faster than light, that kind of stuff. And that ship was going to be what was going to fly over to Alpha Prime, get as much crystite as possible, and come back. Obviously, things didn't really go according to plan. The arc light crashed into the world, and then we have the Melding and the Chosen and all that other stuff. Now, in regards to the Chosen themselves, he purposefully chose, no pun intended, he purposely chose not to tell me the exact motivation behind the Chosen, because the only thing he told me is that we don't really know why the Chosen are that way or why the Chosen want to kill us. I mean, they just want to kill us off because we're the final bastion of humanity, and they just want to completely take over, and that is the reason why the Chosen want to come and get us. Either way, that's kind of like a summary version of the prehistory before the arc light fell into the world, and why the game's name is actually Firefall, because the Firefall event is when the meteors actually came to the Earth and brought the crystite with them. Which is interesting because I had no idea that that was the case, and I'm sure that probably a lot of Firefall players know about this, but a lot of the Firefall community probably doesn't know about it too. So I just thought I'd mention that because it was a cool little thing. So obviously, those of you who have been playing by the time this video gets released, which I haven't played Firefall since I came back from Gamescom, because obviously I'm overloaded with tons and tons of work. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to be playing the game to get background footage for this video. The background footage is going to be all the stuff that they gave me in the press kit. So don't be surprised if the stuff that you're watching in the background doesn't necessarily match the stuff that I'm actually talking about in the video itself. Either way, let's move onwards. So as I was saying, a lot of you guys that have been playing Firefall this week, you guys probably have noticed that there is no longer that huge sin lag that there used to be. At least that is what Mr. David Williams showed me when he was when we were having our conversation. He actually logged into the live realms, and I was like, "Oh, whoa! When was this patch updated?" And he's like, "Yesterday." And I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense. That's exactly why I didn't know about this." So the sin lag seemed pretty much fixed. All the problems that we had with sin were fixed. Also, let me mention on that particular note that I'm not sure if it was my latest Firefall video where I had a complaint about I had some issues because I was leveling my mammoth and I lost a ton of experience and materials. Well, that situation has been completely resolved. The guys behind support at Firefall, and it was resolved actually before I even flew out to Gamescom. Don't be thinking that it's like, oh yeah, you went and you talked with them and they settled things. No, the situation was resolved before I even went to Gamescom. They basically did the upgrades that I wanted to do for me, as well as they gave me an extra upgrade. For instance, I was at Tech 6 for everything. So like both for mass, power, and CPUs, everything was at 6. And I lost twice the experience trying to upgrade to Mass Tech 7. So what they did was to kind of compensate me for the time it took them to get to me, because it took a while. They upgraded everything on my thing to Tech 7. So I actually got 150,000 extra XP plus whatever the materials and crystite were for that additional upgrade. So yeah, they've handled the situation pretty fairly, I would say. But like I was saying, it would seem that the sin lag is currently a thing of the past, which is pretty important. And there's a couple of more things that we're going to be talking about throughout this video, which will also address other of your concerns. But before we do that, I wanted to address the concept of endgame in Firefall, because that is something that a lot of people are talking about. Like, what is the endgame? What am I supposed to be doing? Why do I keep doing these same things over and over? And I would just like to remind people that this is still in a beta stage, okay? Firefall is still in a beta stage, so it is not supposed to have like its full featured content, all that jazz. But either way, let's move onward. The end game of Firefall is actually for you to retake Earth, and I know that this is kind of like a very generalistic thing, so I'm going to try and detail it as much as possible. I'm not sure if people have been making videos about this or not, because I mean, everybody kind of knows the concept of taking back the Earth. That is the ultimate objective of Firefall in a general way, but I'm going to go into a little bit more specific. Like, for instance, when you look at your map right now and you zoom it out as far as you possibly can, you're obviously limited by the constraints of the melding. Their objective is that once you start progressing and pushing the melding back, which we all know is something that is going to eventually happen, you will be able to zoom out to the point where you'll be able to see the entire world. You'll be able to zoom out on your map and see like the entire world and see all that has been conquered, all that hasn't been conquered, all that stuff throughout the earth. And that was pretty impressive. When he told me about that, I was like, that sounds a little bit impressive. Let's see how that works. Their objective is that our fight against the Chosen is something that is going to take us several years. It's going to be story based, so there's going to be actual story reasons for you to do these kinds of things. Because currently, let's face it, there isn't a whole lot of lore and story behind Firefall, at least not really in my opinion. You have to actually go to wikis and stuff like that to actually figure out what the Firefall even was. So obviously that is something that they are working on. The one thing that is supposed to be, like a more story-driven type of deal is the Blackwater anomaly, which I've only gotten to do once. And I barely understood what the hell was going on because these were like more seasoned players and they were just kind of like rushing through it. So that was a pain in the ass. But yeah, their plan is that we will fight a multi-year story-based campaign to unlock the world and defeat the Chosen and the Melding Storm covering the Earth. Now let's get into a couple of more details. Which is, in order to do this, the players are going to be the ones in charge. It is not going to be the developers like, okay, you guys got to go do this now and this event and this thing is going to happen. No, it's going to be all about the players. The players are going to choose which war fronts, and right now I see this term because I'm actually looking at a slide presentation that they have with the press kit, and the term war fronts to me sounds kind of like when you're pushing the melding back, depending on the area that you decide to push back on, that will be your war front. You will actually be able to choose which war front you wish to take on as players and as a community. It is going to be up to the players and the community of Firefall to actually advance the game. It's not going to be like the Firefall team is going to come and say, okay, guys, this zone's unlocked now. Go have fun. It's going to be more like, okay, guys, we got to fight this specific war right here. And we got to organize as a community to do it. And you guys might be wondering, well, why can't we do that now? Because obviously, like I said previously, that stuff isn't implemented yet because this is still a beta stage. They're still figuring out a lot of stuff as well as a lot of their server capacities and whatnot, because as we've seen, Sin has had some problems, which they've only recently fixed. And I'm saying that they fixed it, and I haven't even double-checked it. But what I saw at Gamescom, it seemed pretty good, and he assured me that it was on live servers. So I was like, okay, that looks pretty damn decent if you compare it to what we had previously. But yeah, basically we're going to be choosing those war fronts and choosing where we're going to advance to. And we will choose what areas will be getting unlocked first. And from those areas, the story and the campaign will be written in different ways depending on the areas that we get to conquer first. So let's talk about how we actually will be conquering these areas. So obviously the first stage is going to be push back the melding. Now we've already seen some of this type of mechanic when we go into places like Diamond Head, as well as Antarctica and the other one that I can't remember the name right now. We've seen some of these mechanics, which is basically you go there and there's a melding repulsor in those places. And once you put an X number of amount of melded crystite, I'm not sure if it's also going to be melded crystite to push the normal melding outside those areas, or if it's going to be just flat out crystite. It could be flat out crystite. I'm not sure. We haven't really gone into details on that, but either way, you've seen some of those mechanics in play if you actually go to those places and push the melding back. Now that will push the melding back temporarily, and you will have to do an event which you will then have a chance to gain the fragment of a key, which will then allow you to go into and get the other 2 fragments, and then you can go into Blackwater Anomaly. But either way, that is going to be the first stage. You're going to pick a war front, so you're going to pick which repulsor you will be powering, and you will push the melding back. So once you push that melding back, it will reveal a chosen fortress, because it's like the melding isn't empty. The melding is chock full of chosen, or so he tells me. And so basically, once you push that thing back, you will reveal a chosen fortress. So once you do that, you have to attack and destroy that chosen fortress in the newly revealed landscape that your melding repulsor holds. And obviously, this is going to be a war for time. Like, you will have to constantly fuel your melding repulsor, and you will have to constantly assault those chosen fortresses. The description here is: players will raid and seize chosen tech, which can then be researched to unlock new weapons and gear to use against them. So we will have to basically invade the chosen, because every time that we push back the melding, there's going to be a chosen fortress there, and we are going to have to fight them and destroy it. Once we're done with that, we're going to have to build a permanent melding repulsor, and that is going to enable us to keep that area while we try and build a city there. Because basically we take it over, and once we take it over, we build a permanent melding repulsor, and after that, we will start building a city there around kind of like the melding repulsor. So the city will be built through player donations. So basically, let's call this whole big thing a melding event, right? So you start the event by pushing the melding back. You invade the chosen fortress. You destroy the fortress. And after you destroy the fortress, you plant down your permanent melding repulsor, and then you build a city around it. And this is like the whole stage of kind of pushing the melding back. This is not one stage, but this is like one full event of pushing it back. Now, building a city around your permanent melding repulsor is going to cost resources. These resources are going to have to be donated by players. And all of this stuff, all that you've done to push the melding back throughout the entire event, there are going to be leaderboards that are going to keep track of the players that helped the most. Now, the one player that helps the most through resources, through shooting chosen in the face, through helping building the permanent thing and helping building the city and all that stuff, the one player that helps the most of all that is going to have a statue in the new city. Does that not sound cool? I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm probably never going to be in one of those things. I'm probably never going to be in one of those statues, but that sounds pretty friggin' impressive. Either way, that is kind of how things are going to work until eventually you will take back the entire Earth. However, that is not the end of things. Each time you successfully push the melding back, like you go all the way up until you complete a city, that area, that action that the players were able to take will unveil new missions and new content. So obviously there's going to be new Ares missions, new resource war fronts will be available for thumping. So basically kind of like stuff like Diamond Head and that kind of stuff. And then there will also be a new instance, I believe. It doesn't really say here, which is weird, but yeah. Unlock a war front, unlock the next chapter in the story. Completely unlocking a war front and turning it into a full playable zone will also unlock a repeatable story-driven instance like Blackwater Anomaly. This story drives the epic war forward, and the results of which war fronts are unlocked by the players will help shape the future of this future story of the game, as writers will take into account the players' actions. And that was just direct quote from the document that I'm reading. But yeah, so let me just do a quick recap here. So basically, push the melding back, destroy the chosen fortress that will be there, put a new permanent melding repulsor down, build a city, and after that you will unlock new areas, missions, new resource things, and probably new thumpers, all that stuff, as well as another instance that you can do. And that is going to be the way that all content is going to work for Firefall. It's interesting because now that I thought about it, I should have asked about World PvP, and I forgot. Damn it. I wish I had more time. But either way, those changes that you make in the world are going to be permanent. And it was interesting because the way that he was talking with me about it, he was saying people that play Firefall a couple of years from now are going to be playing a very different Firefall than you and me, because basically a lot of the stuff is already going to be revealed, and who knows what other possibilities are going to be possible. Because it's interesting, because in one of the final slides here, they show the Earth like completely rid of melding, which is where they say the world changes permanently. There is, however, the possibility that, after you build a town, the towns that are on the edge of the melding, they can be retaken temporarily by the Chosen, but they can never be retaken forever. So it will kind of work like Thump Dump and Sunken Harbor work right now when the Chosen decide to invade. But they will never be able to retake that area permanently. There's also a section here that says some war fronts may even be lost if players are defeated in their attempt to wrest the zone from the Chosen, in which case we'll come back at a much later date, but the opportunity for a while will be lost. So let's say that we're trying to take over a certain area and we fail. Like we get to the point where where we're building the permanent repulsor, but we either don't finish, or we build a permanent repulsor, but we don't finish in time to actually build a city. The Chosen can go in there and just wreck everything, and basically we will lose the opportunity to take that particular section for quite some time. So bear that in mind. So obviously this is a concept that the entire game grows with the players. And yeah, that is pretty much the plans that they have for Firefall. And at the end of the day, that sounds like a pretty interesting proposition to me. Also something that you guys will hear me talk about in the interview, which I asked, even before the interview, I asked him about it, which was in regards to group finder systems. He did say that that is on their list of to-do things. It's not like on the highest priority list right now, but that is definitely on their list because they know that having group finder mechanic is important. And that was just such a relief when I heard that. When I heard him say that, I was like, oh, thank you so much. I was really, it was pretty cool. So the stage that the game is in is currently stage 1, where the open beta stage 1, where they were just basically figuring out how stuff is going to work. The open beta stage 2 is when they will start enabling the melding, pushback, and chosen fortresses and story instances and all that stuff. That will be coming within not the next big patch, but the next stage of the beta. Also, they're adding a couple of new products to the cash shop item. So one of those things is actually something that I flat out told him that I didn't really agree with that much, and I still don't really agree with this particular aspect of Firefall, which is currently called the VIP program. So what is the VIP program? The VIP program is something that you can buy for red beans. And what happens is it's not a subscription, but you can basically just buy the time with it, so to speak, with red beans. It works almost like a subscription, but it's not auto-renewing. It's nothing like that. It's basically you're like, okay, now look, I know I'm going to play a lot this week, so I'm going to get the VIP program for this week or for this month or for whatever. You can basically select as much time as you want. The times are 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, 30 days, 30 days, 1 month? Why did they put 30 days, 1 month? in the document it says 30 days, 1 month. And I'm like, okay. Either way, it's going to be 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, 1 month, 6 months, and 12-month packages. And basically the benefits of you entering the VIP program for the duration that you choose is you will get a 50% Christite earnings boost. And this is what I said I didn't agree with. I really don't agree with being able to translate real money into in-game economy. That is just my personal opinion, though. As far as I'm aware, there haven't been any major outcries from the community, so it's like whatever. And besides earning a 50% Christite boost, all of your flames. All of your frames will be unlocked for PvP while you're in the VIP program, not for PvE. You will get additional manufacturing slots as well as additional marketplace slots. I'm not exactly sure on the numbers. They're probably available publicly at this point since I believe that this program has been launched for a while, but I haven't had the time to check all that stuff. I've just been really cranking down on videos, interviews, all that kinds of stuff. Either way, the other thing that has been added to the game are vending machines. Vending machines will dispense 4 random items from a huge collection. There is a guaranteed rare item with a chance of epic items. You can earn resources, cosmetics, boosts, vehicles, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Most of those items will be tradable in the marketplace, and you can also get gold tokens through red beans, which will give you higher chances for epic items, basically. Silver tokens will be earned in game, and those silver tokens is what you can use on the vending machine to get your 4 random items from the huge collection of items that you can get. And to be completely honest, I'm not 100% against gold tokens and red beans and all that stuff. Even though, yes, they do grant you higher chances for epic items, but something that I've noticed in Firefall is that even getting epic items, I've found a lot of epic items so far, and it's like, they're not usually that big of a deal. In a game like Firefall, skill will eventually trump gear. I mean, obviously, if you're in stock and I'm like in some stage 4 epic, yeah, you're going to tell the difference. But what I mean is if I'm in a, let's say, stage 3 green or something, and you're in a stage 4 epic, I'm not sure there's going to be that much difference. Sure, there's going to be some difference, but at the end of the day, let's say that for the purpose of hypothetical purposes that I would have more skill than you, I would still most likely be able to own your face with my stage 3 green gear, whereas your stage 4 epic gear might not be that big of a deal. And once again, let's face it, guys, at the end of the day, these guys have to keep the servers running. Otherwise, the game just goes under, and that's that. There have also been changes in the starter packs. So this basically started with Gamescom. And let me just tell you something. As someone who went to Gamescom to do coverage, I have to say, I find it a little bit disrespectful that we're going to Gamescom, so we're away from all other news outlets, so to speak. We're not really paying attention to anything else that's happening apart from Gamescom. I think that it's a little bit disrespectful of people to do things like during Gamescom. Give us like a week, Tell us about these things and then give us a week to announce them. That would be cool, because I was like, well, when did these packs came up? And he's like, today. And I'm like, oh, okay. But either way, yes, there are new starter packs. They've gotten rid of the whole pilot tokens in starter packs, which is something that everybody complained about, which wasn't really the best way to do it. There's no longer a $100 starter pack. That starter pack is now $75. You get $120 of red beans for that particular pack. You will get 10% experience for yourself, as well as 5% experience for your squad. You get an assortment of cosmetic items. Those are no longer rare, by the way, from what I can see here. You get a ski mask looking thing. You get a bandana. Is that a bandana or some kind of hat? You get a cyber eye looking thing. I assume that the other thing that I'm looking at is a war paint. You get a decal and you get the title of Beta Warrior. You also get a bike. You also get your personal art porter. That is for the $75 thing. The $20 one, you will get $21 in red beans. You'll get plus 5% experience for yourself. You will get the decal as well as the title, Beta Warrior. Oh, actually, on the $75 one, you get the title that you get is actually Beta Commander. On the $20 one, you get the Beta Warrior. So yeah, those are the new starter packs. And finally, they've also announced a new battle frame, which is called the Arsenal. It is an evolution of the Dreadnought platform, so obviously it will have all of the Dreadnought abilities. And this particular battle frame is going to be most of its skills are going to revolve around its weapons. So different skills will bring out different weapons. Not 100% sure how that is going to work out yet because I haven't had a chance to really try it. But basically, he told me that it's like you use skill 1, or I'm not sure if it was skill 1 or whatever. You guys will be able to see it in more detail in the interview when I actually have the time to finish it. But basically, you select a certain skill and you will get like a shotgun, an automatic shotgun, or you can select another one and you get a heavy machine gun. And the HKM is basically you will shoot rockets from your back, kind of like a mech. If you think about a mech that has like rockets on the shoulders, that's kind of what your HKM is going to be, is like a salvo of rockets against your enemies. So yeah, all this stuff sounds really cool. I hope you guys are excited for the new stuff that's going to be coming up for Firefall. And also for those of you who have stayed all the way through this video, I'm going to have to go ahead and tell you guys that I will be giving away 4 codes for red beans, and 4 codes because I'm keeping one of these codes for myself. Mr. David Williams said, you should keep one for yourself, dude. Seriously, keep one for yourself. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep one for myself simply for as respect to Mr. David Williams. It has nothing to do with the fact that I definitely want to use one for myself. Either way, I think I've earned it after all the sacrifices that I've done throughout Gamescom. Either way, I still have 4 codes, which interestingly enough, I just started holding them in my hand as I'm saying this. But as per usual, I'm going to be giving them about a week or so after this video goes up. And all you got to do for a chance at winning one of these 4 codes is tweet at Rurikhan at Firefall, and then just say, should it be your favorite battle frame? Yeah, I think you guys should tweet out your favorite battle frame. That'll give them some data that they can use when they design new battle frames. So at least I think that'll be something that will be appropriate and will be cool for them to figure out as well. So just basically tweet out, like I said, at Rurikhan, at Firefall, and your favorite battle frame. If you want to add something else in there, that would be really cool. If you want to add some detail, that would be cool. Like for instance, let's say I love the Tiger Claw because of the Nova Cannon. It's not really called Nova Cannon. I have Nova Cannon stuck in my head now, though, because that's what Mr. David Williams said when I was talking with him about it. It's actually called Fusion Cannon, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, what are these codes going to give you if you do win them? These codes will give you 120 red beans, which says here it's $15 value, as well as a free war paint. And I'm looking at the war paint right here, and that particular war paint is purple, blue, and Accord white, which is weird. I'm not sure if this is exclusive to Gamescom. It could be, because these are Gamescom's colors, basically. Purple and blue are Gamescom's colors. So it could be an exclusive Gamescom war paint. But again, I'm not 100% sure. Either way, make sure that you follow me on Twitter. And I don't say that just to get additional followers. Like I always tell you guys, feel free to unfollow me once the contest is over. That is perfectly fine by me. I don't want you guys to be forced to listen to all of my ramblings on Twitter. But I would ask you to follow me during the contest, simply because I cannot send you a direct message on Twitter unless you are following me. So once this video goes up, more or less 1 week, I will announce who won. Depending on how many tweets we get from people and all that stuff, I will announce who won out of all those people. And I will message you your code through a private message. So yeah, that is going to be it for this particular video. Thank you very much for watching, and look forward to the Firefall interview, which will be hitting the channel as soon as I have time to edit it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.